for the first project in my ISTE presentation, it was a Save the Earth project, and it required a couple of components. So the first thing that we did was view the assignment, which is here. I'll just wait for it to load. Excellent. So the first element of this is research, right? So there's a lot of information about whether or not students have the digital literacy tools to be able to access everything. So one element is providing students with reliable materials, and then once they have found these materials, students need to find pros and cons for whatever type of energy they have selected. Those are listed up here. And finally, I think no one got to this point. The question was, what should we use in Philadelphia? And then the other part of the project is, all right, so once I've done all this research, found the pros and cons about whatever my energy source is, to demonstrate my knowledge in an infographic, which I'm choosing to use PictoChart, but in the analogous tools part, see here on the side, I list other infographic generators that you can use, and that may be better for your population. So now I know I have to do research. In order to do that, let me go back to project 1. All right, there's a couple of things that can happen. So if I have great reading comprehension, but decoding is difficult for me, then what I will do is use the iSpeech or Speak It Chrome extension. It's free, and whatever you highlight, it reads in, I think, a pretty human-like voice. Let's see if you can hear this.
Differentiate for perception, reading fluency, and decoding. iSpeech Speak It is a Chrome browser extension that does text-to-speech. Click here to learn more about other built-in text-to-speech applications.
And so on. So she's pretty human sounding. The only glitch so far I've seen is she doesn't really know how to read apostrophe, so she sort of pauses. That's the only main annoying bit, but I'm sure that they are working on that. So for differentiation, doesn't just mean reaching the students who have trouble with reading. Sometimes it's also reaching students who are really independent and want to share their knowledge. So for students who are highly independent, both in their technology use, in their reading, and in their digital literacy, and I would say critical evaluation of websites, what they can do is create their own custom search engines. You just go to csc.google.com. You need a Google sign-in to do this. I created one for ISTE Science, and I want to be transparent about what I included there. I named it ISTE Science, and I said any website that ends with .edu or .gov I will trust, and then I found good information on Green Mountain Energy, and I tend to trust nationalgeographic.com, so those are the sites that I'm deeming sort of safe. But I can always add other sites to it, right? If I want to add or if I want to delete something, I can always add. So maybe I also want to add, although this won't be relevant for this, maybe I want to add history.gov. And you'll notice these asterisks, they're placeholders. A lot of sites these days don't necessarily stick to the www.history. I think it's actually .com. We'll do kids.gov. So not all, the star means anything that has kids.gov right there in the middle will be an acceptable site. Yeah, and you can also include sites in bulk. So this means it doesn't matter if it says video.kids.gov or whatever. I'm going to save that because I think that's a good source as well. So now that's added to my sources. And you can make this a public URL. Now I can share this with my students. You can get a code for it. Oh, no, this is just the actual code. Never mind. But yeah, that's right. There's a search engine ID, but I haven't used it that way before. So this is, again, one thing you can do is create your own custom search engine that you share directly with your class. But again, if you want to differentiate up for independent students, they can find their 5 to 10 favorite sources. They simply click New Search Engine. They will name the search engine. So it'll be my environmentalism project. And then they can add whatever sites they want. So they also like greenmountainenergy.com. And they also like nationalgeographic.com. Then they will save those sites, right? And you can always delete things. So maybe they say anything that ends with .org is good, and then you'll say, well, actually, .org is no longer something that is that reliable. So that's the differentiating up custom search engine part. Then we can, I will go back to the project. So that's for highly independent students. Now, yeah, and again, other students can use the custom search engine that a teacher created. And then for other students, I've made a Google site. You can click on it and it will open up a separate separate website. And I went and found information. So where to find more info, read a little or read more, right? So if you're doing read more. These are my sort of average, maybe a little bit struggling readers. And I literally went and found sources that are about carbon, that are about coal. And this way, they don't have the infinite internet. They have 6 sources that they can read. So, for example, here I also like that there's videos and interactives. It's not just about narrowing down the number of choices, but also making sure that there are videos and whatnot. So most sites do tend to have videos and whatnot. This one actually has a lot of great videos, but I think, let's say I look up environment. So none of these actually directly link to them. Maybe I'll close this site and I'll find, ooh, here's a video about fossil fuels from National Geographic. So I'm a student. Now, I'm pretty independent within the finite number of choices that I, oops, where is it? Gave them, right? If I have a lot, so I'm in the read more, but if I have a lot of trouble with reading, these are all very simple. So it's sort of pros and cons, low reading level, here are advantages, disadvantages. That's all you need to know. You'll see this is all already annotated, and that's the next thing I'm going to talk about. So step 1 of the project is doing research and finding your sources, right? Where was the project? That's fine. Step 1 of the project was finding your sources. But who cares about the sources if you're not able to, sorry, I'm skipping it. Who cares about the sources if you're not able to annotate? So the second part of this project is how to annotate and organize your notes. As you can see, I already have something popping up because this is Diigo, D-I-I-G-O. I'm already signed into mine. You can make yourself your own user. So these are my notes from a site that I have already annotated. I believe it was actually this site here. So you'll see I can highlight. I can add comments. This is interesting. I can actually specifically share with the group my comments. So this is something if you want to model how annotation works, but I can always say, actually, that's not relevant. I'm going to delete it. You'll see some of the things I already noticed. Hydroelectric power, my comment is, this means electricity from water. There are dams that turn the water trying to push through, like Niagara Falls. Again, I wrote this, but a student could conceivably make that connection and sort of summarize the vocabulary. I've written some other notes here. May be good for the environment, may not be good for the environment after all, because this warns about animals getting caught in the dams if you're using hydroelectricity. So once again, I used a site that was on the Google site that would be teacher created. Once I get on the website as a student, now I need to annotate. So I might provide questions. Right now, their only goal is to find pros and cons. And again, this is a site that is very differentiated for students who have difficulty reading, because all they have to do is read these bullet points, right? And then they can highlight within there. Here I highlighted abundant, clean, and safe. So that's a great pro. Offers recreational benefits. Maybe I don't care so much about that. Can be used, I can't even read what the note said. Can be used only where there's a water supply. So again, thinking that I asked about Philadelphia, you have to consider all of that. And then it lists pros and cons of all other kinds, right? Solar unlimited supply. All right, I'm going to highlight that. That's great. No water or air pollution. Oh, that's great. Oh, but yeah, you need sunlight, and it's not cost effective right now. So I'm going to write a note. Maybe too expensive to set up, but good in the long term. So that is the research and annotation part of the project.